We Make Movies Film Geeks Podcast. Music coming any second. Nope, my iPad's dead. We Make Movies Film Geeks Podcast, episode number 59. Sans music today because Garrett totally screwed up. We'll all just... Those fucking guys. I knew. I need to actually put a checklist like on the side of my computer over here, like somewhere right here, so that because I knew I was like, there's something I'm forgetting, but there's my segments. I'm doing the thing. I'm recording. We're broadcasting live. Yeah, no, I can't think what I could possibly be forgetting. And of course, it's the music. I will. Oh, screw you, sir. Screw you. Oh God. This is the We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast. I am your host, Garrett Robinson. With me, as always, Chad Kukahiko, and filling in, as per usual, while Michelle is gone, Ryan D. Thompson. Hey, guys!
Hey.
Hello.
Off to a fantastic start. How's it been going? Weekly updates. Let's do the thing. Oh.
Been good. It's been good. You know, just got back from wine country. The earthquake woke me up, actually.
Did it really? You were up there when it happened?
Yep. 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I just hit the road at 5 a.m., so we just got down here a few hours ago.
Wow.
That's gorgeous. It's gorgeous, Ryan. I think Ryan's just discovered the effects. People listening to this and not watching it, they just missed the crown. Oh, and now he's got a little bozo head. Yay.
Ryan's crowning.
Yeah.
Sorry.
3 o'clock in the morning, the whole hotel room was shaking, like back and forth. I woke us up. We were a little freaked out, me and Kendall. But we were so tired, we were just like, all right, go back to sleep. And then 2 hours
You've been in LA for a long time. Aren't you kind of used to earthquakes by now? Or
I have not been woken up by an earthquake. Never.
Yeah.
The first time it was that it actually woke me up while I was sleeping. And I'm a pretty
while
good
you were
sleeper,
sleeping.
While I was sleeping, yes.
I just want to give a quick note really quick before we jump into the community news, and then we will jump into the community news, that the reason that we didn't start right at 4 today is entirely Ryan's fault. He has a thing in his things to know at the end of the
Don't spoil it.
No, I'm not going to spoil it. All I'm going to say is that it's highly addictive, and I saw it in the segment. I was like, oh, I'm going to go check this thing out. And then at like 4 o'clock, 4:01, Chad's like, hey, dude, where the fuck are you? I'm like, oh, shit. Jumped in here and got going. I will. Oh, my God.
That was not me.
That was Ryan? Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus. Why? God, why? All right, we begin as always with community news. As always, we like to remind you at the top of the show, if you are a listener to the audio podcast, or if you watch live on the YouTube channel or afterwards on the YouTube channel, please pop into iTunes, give the show a rating and a review on iTunes. That helps us get discovered by more people. So that's always a good thing. Well, usually a good thing. Sometimes a good thing. Sometimes it sucks. Anyway, you should definitely hop in there and rate us, and if you can do that, we would appreciate it tremendously. And this week is What's Next at the Theater Asylum in Hollywood at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday night on Santa Monica Boulevard. We will be doing the What's Next event, which is basically showing events that the script is done and they're either, in production or just about to be or in post-production. My film, Overnight, will be screening in order to get some post-production advice when I go in and edit it. And Chad, don't you have something up?
I do, but I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna see if I can bow out. Actually, it's not ready. I thought it would be, but it's not quite ready. Yeah. So, but there's a few cool things. By the way, you need to get me a copy of Overnight so that I can screen it. So.
Oh yeah, that's an important thing.
Yes,
you should bring the thing. Just bring it, whatever state it's in. I mean, come on.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to. I don't think it's at the point now where anything I'm going to be getting is good. Anyway. I probably won't.
Nah.
So I got to talk. I got to run it by David Beatty, but we'll see. Otherwise, I'm not going to be getting any sleep over the next 3 nights. Ryan is really having fun with these effects.
He really is. He's just going nuts. If you're on the audio feed, you're missing out right now because Ryan is. Why did I ever introduce Google Effects to this show? Well,
Sorry, I
let's get into the general news items, guys. Chad, you're up first.
Yeah, so poor Quentin Tarantino, he just cannot catch a break with his poor
Poor
Hateful
guy.
Eight. First, his script was leaked, as we've already discussed, which caused him, as we've also already discussed, to announce that he would not actually make the movie. And now that he is apparently making the movie after all, the trailer leaked early. Now, you could, of course, say that this might all be sort of an elaborate publicity stunt, which I'm actually I would tend to believe myself, or it's not, and he's really has a leaking problem all over the place. He's got a leak. So now,
You
I've
can't
seen
stop
this-
leaking on the floor.
He can't stop leaking. Yeah, he needs to plug it up. Now, I've seen this so-called trailer, and it doesn't really actually. I'm not actually going to give any spoilers. I'm just going to all it gives you, because the reason why I'm not going to give spoilers is I don't, some of you may not want you may not want to know. So, and if you do want to know, it's really easy to Google. Go ahead and just Google on your own. I may put the link in the show notes. But at any rate, what it all it really tells you is sort of the general premise, and then the names and the nicknames of the different characters, though it does not say which actors are going to be playing them. So it's really, like I said, it's really easy to find. So if you want to find it, go ahead, just Google it. It's just an animated, like, motion graphic piece, similar to I think he had another teaser for one of his other films that was kind of like that. So don't
I think
expect
Django had a teaser like that.
That's what I was thinking. Django Unchained, I think, had a motion graphic teaser. So, and I don't think this definitely does not have any actual film footage. But if you're a diehard Tarantino fan, I'm sure it will whet your appetite. And I did say whet.
Quit.
Whet. Like Cool Whip.
Cool Whip. Will
Cool
Wheaton.
Whip. Bill.
It is.
Wheaton.
Yeah, I mean, the leaked bootlegged trailer, it's like the version you saw is probably the camera in the movie theater.
Yep.
Yeah, they didn't have like a professional thingy or whatever. But yeah, it's very, I'm like, okay, like I got a flavor, but like I don't know, I don't got nothing. I mean, honestly, for me, it's enough to see, written and directed by Quentin Tarantino, but I'm wondering for the general moving-going public if it's going to mean anything. But whatever.
Yeah.
Check it out if you want to.
Yeah.
I'll jump into my thingy. So in the last week, Boyhood did not release in the last week, as was gently pointed out by my faithful co-hosts. But I have heard from two people in the last week who saw Boyhood, and they have the reactions that I've gotten from both of them have been interesting, where it's like, dude, it's so good, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll take Megan and go see it, and they're like, well, maybe not, like they're like, they seem to think that not everybody will love the movie, but those who love it will really, really love it. I don't know if we've mentioned this movie on the show before, so I'm just going to recap really quick. The director is David Linklater, who's done things like Dazed and
Richard
Confused.
Linklater.
Sorry?
Richard.
Linklater? Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
right.
it is. I'm on top of this segment right now. He did Dazed and Confused. He did Me and Orson Welles, which like nobody has seen, but I really, really liked. He has done a bunch of movies with Ethan Hawke. So he came up with this movie 10 years ago, and then he filmed it for 10 years, over the course of 10 years, with the same actors.
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke
IFC helped fund it.
Sorry?
IFC was called the 10-year project for a while.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke is in it. The movie stars somebody I have never seen before named L.R. Coltrane, and he is the main character, Mason, and plays him from the ages of 5 to 18. I think the actor when they started was actually 8, not actually 5. But wow, like filming for a whole decade over the course of 10 years, putting a story together with the same actors, just on that alone, like I really, really want to go see it. And that's what they call in marketing like a unique selling proposition. This is not necessarily going to appeal to Joe Normal who likes, his Marvel movies and his action and his Bond films and whatever. But for people who appreciate the craft of filmmaking, it's like I've never heard of anybody doing something similar to this before, and I really, really want to see how it turned out. So it seems pretty brilliant to me, at least from a marketing perspective. Of course, the payoff only comes after 10 fucking years. I don't know. Have you guys seen this?
I have not seen it yet, but I'm surprised
Well-
that you don't remember me talking about it a few episodes ago, because I had a whole thing, not about just this, but I was talking about the 5 indie films, so I kind of did discuss it already.
I do not. It was probably just that it was in among 5, and I probably
not.
sort of.
You don't listen to me. In other
I
words, is what you're
don't.
trying to
I
say.
don't.
But
if my mouth is not moving, why would I pay attention to what's going on?
What's fascinating to me is that still, after all the time that it's been out, 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
99. That's amazing. So 1 out of 100 critics don't like it. Now it's 1 out of 10 people. It's only got 90%, but I mean only 90%.
Yeah.
The public is still pretty ridiculous. It's still pretty damn high. So yeah,
It's also surprisingly, I mean, I guess not surprisingly considering how much material they must have had, but it's long. It's like 2.5 hours long or something.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. I mean, the story behind it was really interesting. And that's what I was when I initially brought it up a couple weeks ago. It was in terms of having, like you just said, sort of an ingenious sort of marketing idea. And I doubt 10 years ago they realized it would be such an issue. But they haven't had to spend a ton of money to get the word out because it's been, sort of,
right.
At least in some circles, it's been in the mix for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's talk about, sort of being able to stretch out your marketing dollars,
Letting it lengthen, so to speak.
Yes.
That what this makes me actually really, really hopeful for? It makes me very, very hopeful for Kill Bill 3. You know that old fan theory?
There cannot be a Kill Bill 3.
Yes, there can, because
Bill's dead.
It's the girl who the girl who wanted to be Black Mamba in the first Kill Bill. When Uma Thurman kills her character and her daughter is there, and she says, "When you grow up, if you're still sore, I'll be waiting." And using that same actor, grown up, coming and hunting down Beatrice Kiddo. There's been a theory that was his plan the entire time, and I'm like, hey man, guess what? Somebody else just did that, so do the thing, okay? I would be very excited by that, by the prospect of that film.
There's also the Professional proposed sequel with grown-up Matilda, who's now working as a hitwoman. Have you heard that one?
No.
Are you guys familiar with The Professional?
It's honestly my most unfavorite of all Tarantino's movies. I mean,
Kill Bill?
Yes, both of them.
Get out. I love those.
I agree with Chad. I don't love the Kill Bill movies. Anyway, tangent.
Yeah, whatever.
Yes. We'll move on to things that people are interested in.
Like me.
Sons of bitches. All of you.
So you've met my mother.
Hey!
Amazing. Yeah, I got the music back.
Is it my turn?
It is your turn.
Okay. So my first news bit today is, for those of you unaware, this is the first time in something like 7 years that Pixar has not had a film released in the calendar year, 2014. The Good Dinosaur was supposed to be their big tentpole for this year, but about a year ago, it was pushed back to November of next year, 2015, after director Bob Peterson was reassigned and replaced by his co-director, Peter Stone. Now comes word that there are still issues with the film. Just recently, John Lithgow, famed actor John Lithgow and one of the voices in the film, remarked that he was going back to completely re-record his part. Apparently the film is going to be just completely reimagined. Everything that they have is going to be scrapped, and they're redoing it. The original premise was, what if dinosaurs never became extinct? But who knows what we'll get now, and if it will lead to another release date change.
Huh. Wow. So if it does come out next year, does that mean they're going to have 2 films next year?
Yeah, they will have 2 films next year because they're going to have Inside Out, which is about the brain, in the summer, and then Good Dinosaur in the fall/early winter.
And then if it gets pushed back into 2016, then they may have 2 films in 2016 probably.
Yeah, 2016 is Finding Dory, which is the Finding Nemo sequel.
Oh.
I'm sure it's happened before, but this is the first time I've ever heard of Pixar having production issues. Have they
Yeah.
had any big thingies before?
Well,
Brave had some production issues, and
Finding Nemo had some. Like, what's his? I can't remember who the dad's voice initially was. The lead guy in Fargo, I believe, was hired first.
No.
oh, that
And
sounds
they ended
vaguely
up,
familiar.
yeah, and they ended up having to get rid of him and start over with whoever played the dad in the final product. Yeah.
Albert Brooks.
Really?
Yep,
Oh wow, he was fantastic. I did not realize that was Albert. Oh, that's great.
that was Albert Brooks.
That's great. Anyway.
So yeah, I mean, this kind of happens a lot with Pixar movies because it's not like it's just one director's vision. They kind of have a company vision for their films, and when stuff isn't working, they will scrap it. And I don't know if they've ever completely started over, which is what this sounds like. But
Yeah.
like I know they like with Toy Story 2 or 3, they did some major script reworking, and usually they won't start until they're 100% satisfied with a script, which is
Right.
kind of common sense, but does not happen in Hollywood.
Oh, totally.
Right. Right.
Sony Spider-Man.
Their story. I mean, Pixar has such high standards. So even if they think they got it, and then they don't later on, they're like, "All let's go back."
Yeah.
For them. I mean, good for them. I'm just glad that they.
Oh,
Although I haven't
totes,
seen any of
totes
the
are
automobiles ones, but I hear that those are not so fantastic.
They're
What a-
not, but those are more for like just straight up 5-year-olds.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Word.
Well,
Well,
let's kick on, Chad.
Yes. Now this may or may not be news to you, but due to the ubiquitous ALS Ice Bucket Challenge,
What's
the
that?
ALS. Yes, right.
No, this is news to me. What is that thing?
You are joking, of course, right? Yes, you
No.
are.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are joking. The ALS Association, because of this Ice Bucket Challenge, has raised more than $53 million in just the past 5 weeks. And keep in mind that the $53 million figure is from a Huffington Post article from Friday. And 10 million of that 53 million had apparently come from Thursday. So who knows where that number is right now. At any rate, that's obviously an incredible feat for a cause that a lot of people had never even really heard of about a month ago. And as is sadly common with a lot of things that go viral in this fashion, there are, believe it or not, a lot of haters and trolls. And to the trolls, I have nothing to say because I do not feed the trolls. But to the non-troll haters who think that ALS maybe isn't as important as various types of cancer or whatever other cause they may feel is more worthy or whatever. I mean, I can't address all of the, honestly kind of silly and irrelevant jabs that I've seen people take at this phenomena. I just want you people to remember that this is a real disease. It is literally life-shattering. People with ALS slowly and, except for very, very few exceptions like Stephen Hawking, irrevocably lose muscle tissue until they don't have any muscles even to breathe. And I know this because my father died of ALS in 2001, just 2 months after 9/11. So if you have the urge to be crass or to find some kind of fault in this brief moment in the limelight that this cause has, please don't forget that these are actual real people. This is actually a real disease, and it hurts real families. So and that's all I really have to say about it.
I wanna ask a question, and I wanna frame it extremely carefully. First of all, I just want to say that like when I heard about this, I was like, oh, that's a really cool thing, and I didn't know what ALS was, and I looked it up. And as I usually do when a charitable thing becomes very popular, I donated what I could, which wasn't much, and sometimes I can't donate anything at all. But this time, at least, I could do something.
Great, and thank you.
I've been challenged twice. For some reason, the specific, like, I'm glad for the publicity that it's bringing to people. For some reason, I feel like I don't get the challenge itself. I don't know what it is, but like it didn't click with me, and so two people challenged me, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna donate, but like I didn't.
Well, that's part of the challenge too, is you can either donate or, and that's fine. My sisters donated. My sisters both challenged me back before it was huge, because
Yeah.
obviously we have a history with this. But it's the main thing is that just like anything, that is meant to kind of go viral. The whole purpose is for it to go viral. And I think that what's really
for the to
for
see
the challenge itself.
Right.
I mean, and that's the thing is what's been kind of really. I mean, I think it's really cool. I think it's cool because it's a cause I really care a lot about.
Yeah.
But it's you see some of these like I just watched Benedict Cumberbatch's, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them have been really great.
David Grohl has done the best one. I'm sorry, but it is.
I'll have to look it up. I haven't seen it.
I like Chris Pratt's.
I haven't seen either of those. But
David Grohl recreated the pig blood scene from Carrie, but with his ice bucket. It's incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
that's pretty hilarious.
Well, that's cool, and like I do sort of get that, and I have loved seeing like Robert Downey Jr. is like, okay, I'm doing the challenge, but I'm also gonna donate like $100,000, and you're just like,
exactly,
yeah, God, that's amazing.
And that's the thing is a lot of people are doing both.
Yeah,
especially and I think it's fantastic. Obviously, when my sisters challenged me, Denny and I both react because they challenged me and my brother, and we both had sort of a similar reaction. We're like, we're too busy, and so we just gave money, and it was just, but this, mind you, we're not celebrities. I mean, if we were celebrities, it'd be a different story. We could do both.
If I had like 1 million people subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would feel like an obligation. I would be like, of course I'm going to do the thing.
But in general, I'm against those chain letter things. You know what I mean? In general, and that's why I think for regular people, I can see. I don't know. I'm on the. I'm with you. I'm torn about it because I hate those chain letter like, email this to 10 friends or you will die in 24 hours. You know what I mean? I hate those.
But you've never seen a chain letter that was like, forward this email to 3 people and donate $10 to ALS research or you'll be a bad person. And you're sort of like,
does say either. You know what I mean? You don't have to do. And that's anyway. That's in answer to your question, but maybe we should move on. I don't know.
We probably should. It's an important thing to talk about though, because obviously, literally the entire planet is doing it. So
yeah.
Anyway,
and it's brief. It won't last long. So let them get their $53 million. You know what I mean? It's just let it happen.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I definitely do not enjoy the trollers who. Anyway, whatever. I'll skip on, and I'm gonna go from something altruistic to something completely narcissistic. Tomorrow is August 25th. August 25th is the day that they announced the Hobbit Fan Fellowship contest rules. We've known that the contest is happening. They have not said anything of what you're supposed to do. If you missed this when I mentioned it on an earlier episode, they're having some kind of worldwide contest. We don't know what it is yet. And the top 75 and 75 winners around the world, Hobbit fans, are going to be flown to New Zealand to watch the film with Peter Jackson. Now, clearly, I need to be one of these people. Clearly. I mean, I think I have a pretty good shot at the #1 Hobbit fan in the world. I don't know anybody whose story is like as extreme as mine. But whether I'm #1 or not, I'm definitely in the top fucking 75. Like, I have no question about this.
Allow me to interrupt as somebody different than you.
Yes.
People watching this or listening to this may not know this, but Garrett flew himself to New Zealand while they were shooting The Hobbit just to try to work on the film, and actually only had to come back because of family tragedy. Otherwise, he probably would have worked on that film in some capacity. I mean, you were,
and whether or not, like, I would have just moved down there. We were already working out the arrangements to fly my wife, and we had just had our first child, and we were making the arrangements to fly down there. And I was like, well, I'm either going to get the job or I'm going to sit down here waiting tables for 3 years, continuing to try to get the job. Like, that was the actual plan.
Right.
And then something happened, and that didn't occur. So anyway, so here's the deal. We don't know what the rules are yet. We don't know what the competition is going to consist of. But I'm going to mention this again next week, and whoever's watching or listening, I hope I can count on your votes or whatever it is that they expect you to do. Okay? All right. Thank you. That's just my little thing. And also, I want to hear from anybody else in our audience who is planning on joining the competition, who wants to do this thing, because it's a really cool thing. And if you haven't been, or if you have been, you already know, you should really try to get to New Zealand, whether it's for this or for something else. That place is incredible. Lord of the Rings or no, it's just amazing.
Good
Yeah,
luck.
I'm done. Sorry.
You've got my vote.
Yay.
Yes, me too, for
Are
sure.
there actually more than 75 Hobbit fans, though, total?
Oh, get out. Hey, each movie's made about $1 billion, so the first film doubled their investment, so I think they're probably pretty happy.
I can't watch I can't even watch the trailers. I mean, I'm sorry, but the frame, like it's too many frames. It's like like attacks my eyes. I just can't even watch it.
All right. Whatever you say, man.
Go ahead, Peyton.
All right, my last little news bit for this show is Guardians of the Galaxy is back at #1 at the box office this weekend, with Sin City tanking hard. The Chloe Moretz ghost tween romantic drama. Seriously, I have no idea what that movie's about. With her movie underperforming and Ninja Turtles waning, Star-Lord and his crew, with phenomenal word of mouth, slotted right back in at the top spot with an estimated $17.6 million.
Is this third or fourth week out?
I think it's fourth? Third? I don't know. Fourth? Third? I don't remember. It's grossed over $250 million domestic, and that puts it at the #1 grossing movie of the summer. Again, domestic, surpassing even Transformers 4. Which one is this one again? Seriously, if you haven't seen Guardians, definitely check it out, or check it out again. Box office aside, it's probably the best movie I've seen all summer, and it may actually be my favorite Marvel movie of all time, including, yes, Avengers.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. Well, I definitely need to see it immediately. I'm so pissed off that I haven't seen that yet.
It's great. I mean, and I'm looking on thenumbers.com right now, and it came out August 1st. So whatever that is, like 3 weeks, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well done, and I think we can all acknowledge that the most important accomplishment is beating Transformers. Like, screw that.
It actually did better. Oh wait, of course that was Friday, but it's interesting. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's going down much. Like, it's obviously the first weekend it did unbelievable, but it's like maintaining, which is rare nowadays. You know?
Yeah, nowadays usually you get your one and done big weekend and that's it.
Crazy. Yeah.
Did we rearrange the main topics, Chad?
I did not.
Okay, they're not in the same order as the rest of the show, but let's do them in the order presented, because why the hell not? Okay. A quick reminder as you watch the show, if you're watching the show, you can comment on things live on the YouTube page. We will answer your questions, bring them up on air, and so we'll launch into the main topics now. So for those who don't know, I do a bi-weekly, well actually 3 times weekly vlog back and forth with fellow We Make Movies member Valentina V. And since my last video to her was extremely pertinent to We Make Movies and Film Geeks, I'll be turning that into my main topic today. V expressed a fear or just an opinion that in 100 years mankind probably won't still be watching films, and that the two-hour in-theater experience is already dying off. Obviously, I'm all for looking toward the future and exploring new avenues of artistic expression. That's kind of one of our specialties on this show, is like, what's happening next? What's the new entertainment trend? But I can't get on board with the prediction that film is not going to be around for very much longer, or for even 100 years. I mean, if you look at the number of films, feature films being made each year, it's still on a steady increase. Total box office annually is somewhat stagnant in the U.S., but not around the world. And do we really care if movies are not making more and more money, or do we care that people, or would we care more that people have stopped making films? Because we're making more films. So even in the U.S., and even though the U.S. box office is like, kind of flat, it's still way, way, way up there. And anyway, I'm just happy that more films are being made. She pointed out that online video is on the rise, and et cetera, et cetera. That's very true. Online video is its own medium that provides its own experience. It is additional, as far as I'm concerned, it's additional to the feature film, not instead of the feature film. And yes, you have to give your attention to one or the other at any one time, but, you know, there are people who do online video and books. There are people who only do books and movies and don't do very much online video at all. It's like, just because online video is taking a chunk of attention, which, as we've gone over, is like the most important thing in the world, it's not ever going to take all of the attention. Online video is never going to become the sum total of human entertainment. And while there still exist people in the world who enjoy the experience of seeing a feature film, I think that people will keep creating that content to fill that demand. The idea that it is all going to die out, I think, comes from two like faulty lines of logic. And the first is that people often, when I hear people talk about, you know, like, oh, the film industry is dying, is they're focusing intently on America, and they use American statistics. And when they say that box office totals are stagnating, that's America. Bollywood is doing great. China and Korea are doing great. This same thing, by the way, is totally happening in publishing right now. People legitimately think that books are dying because paperback sales have fallen for a couple of years. They're only falling in the United States. Around the world, they are exploding. India is just boom, and India is the second biggest English-speaking population in the world. Sorry?
Can you do that again? I didn't really get it the first time.
Which part?
The whoop. What was that? How was that? Whoom.
I don't know which sound. I've made a lot of sounds in the last couple of minutes.
That's a shame. It was a wonderful song. I just didn't feel like I really got it.
I'll go back. If you could replay.
Never mind.
Really
Let's move on. I was punking you, but clearly it failed.
So anyway, just because mainstream American cinema might be in a little bit of a malaise, it doesn't mean that cinema as an art form is like in peril. Because cinema doesn't belong to America. It, you know, depending on who you ask, it didn't even start here. So, and if we end up being a minority country in the international film market, which, I mean, if you look at like Transformers and like breaking $1 billion, but the vast majority of that is foreign compared to the thing. So if we have to start producing our films with subtitles in Mandarin, you know, it's like, oh well, it's been the reverse for decades. So like, I don't think that we have that much room to complain. And the other line of logic is thinking that new media destroys old media, because people thought that iTunes would destroy the entire music industry. And before that, they thought that cassette tapes would destroy the film industry. People thought that YouTube would destroy the film industry at some point. And before that, they thought VCRs would destroy the film industry. And before that, they thought television would destroy the film industry. And other people thought that television would destroy radio. And guess what people are still creating a lot of? Like more radio than ever before. We are doing a radio show right now. It's a podcast, but that's still radio. It's the same format. It's listened to by the same people who want that same experience. And now it's easier to create than it's ever been before. Ryan, your psychedelic orange is fantastic. So anyway, going back even before that, you know, probably the oldest art form is theater and the performing arts. That probably, as far as I know, we were like doing, you know, stuff like that even before there was writing, like formalized writing and whatever. Theater's still around. No amount of new media or new forms of entertainment has ever killed theater. Maybe it's not as big as it was in Elizabethan England, but it's still, like, there are still people out there who say it's the greatest art form ever and dedicate their whole lives to it, and it still makes money. Maybe, you know, like, maybe not as much as Transformers or Guardians of the Galaxy or the Avengers, but sometimes surprisingly high amounts of money. When I looked into you know how much the big Broadway theater shows make, there's a reason that, you know, they have those big ass theaters in the middle of Manhattan and so on. Mm-hmm. So if anything, movies might change. The format that we experience them on might change. Blu-rays, I'm sure, will not be around in 100 years. Maybe they will be holographic in the future, or we'll have like true experiences like that without the need for glasses or whatever. That could all happen, but it will still be a different experience from online video and from reading and from radio and from music. And as a different experience, I think that there will always be an audience for it. And as long as there's an audience for it, there will be people performing for that audience. Am I crazy to think that? Am I the dinosaur protesting the arrival of the comet?
I honestly, I mean, I'm kind of a fan, although a skeptical fan of Kurzweil. And so when you start talking about like 150 years from now, I mean, I don't know if you follow Kurzweil. He says that we're reaching sort of a singularity where things are going to expand so fast that we're not going to. And if there's any truth to that at all, who knows what things are going to look like in 150 years? I mean, we may be uploading ourselves into movies. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, if you want to talk like 20 years from now or something like that, I would say. No, you're not a dinosaur. I think you're personally, there's a live experience that I don't know how you're going to get if you don't go out and watch something with other people. It's something
Right.
I love it.
Or even sit on your couch and watch it with your wife or your family or whatever, Like we watched the Muppets movie twice in the last 24 hours because my kids won't stop watching the damn thing,
Right. But I think that live movie theater experience, I mean, that was kind of the thought that I thought you were talking about. Stories are never going away.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Ryan wants to say something about this.
No, I think if you make something that people want to see, then they'll see it, whether it's live or Memorex.
Right. Or the Oculus Rift, as she's a big fan of, and other people are. I'm like, I don't want to wear stupid shit on my head. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's why I don't go to 3D movies. It all just gives me a headache.
Oh yeah, me too.
And the whole thing, I mean, maybe, I'm not saying that it won't happen, that will be. I'm just saying that like 100 years ago, people thought that our cities would be flying and that we'd have developed light travel. So it's like it's that sort of thing where we're advancing faster than we thought we would, and also at the same time we haven't done so many things.
In some ways, yeah. I mean, I think that our industry is changing so quickly that 3 years from now, I don't know what things are going to look like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So who knows? I have no idea. I wouldn't make any predictions either way because I haven't the foggiest.
Yeah, but then you can't say you were right in 100 years.
I don't know if I'll be around then anyway. So
you'll be uploaded to a computer.
Yes, right. I'll be I'll be a thumb drive. The eternal thumb drive from Lucy.
Oh, hey, who's on that thumb drive? Plug it in. No, that's Chad. As soon as you plug him in, he just goes, I told you, motherfuckers! And then you have to unplug him again really quickly.
Plug it!
Ryan, do you want to launch into your main topic?
Sure. So, kind of talking about the future and where we're going. I touched on this a little bit in one of my news segments last week, talking about upcoming comic book movie releases. Well, I was curious, so I actually went back and counted. In the next 6 years, by 2020, which is a real year, 2020, 30 DC and Marvel branded movies combined will be released. And that does not include this year's releases. From summer 2015 through 2020, an average of 6 DC and or Marvel branded movies will be released each year.
Wow.
Now, I just want to note, I'm saying Marvel branded because Marvel Studios does not currently own the cinematic rights to all of their characters.
Right.
X-Men and Fantastic Four are still owned by Fox, and Spider-Man is still owned by Sony. Now, of course, it's the future. Who knows what will happen? Not all of these are guaranteed to come out. Sony seems to be backing off their shared Spider-Man cinematic universe plans a bit after the critical and at least domestic box office disappointment that was Amazing Spider-Man 2. Regardless, though, even if half these movies never get made, we'll still see more superhero movies being produced than ever before. Throw in TV shows like the upcoming Gotham, The Flash, Constantine, Agent Carter, and the currently airing Arrow and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and combined, mathematically speaking, that's a whole heck of a lot of superheroes.
Is Gotham? What's Gotham?
Gotham's the Batman prequel.
It's like Smallville, but for
kind of. I've seen it. It's more like Detective Jim Gordon as opposed to Batman and Commissioner Gordon.
Right. No, but I mean, like in terms of sorry.
Is the Daredevil are those shows still happening?
Yes, Daredevil's shooting right now, and the other 3 are in development.
God, I hope
I'd forgotten about those completely.
Yeah, there's
honestly,
like 4 of them, right?
I know that this doesn't. I know that I think I'm in the minority opinion, and I know that it doesn't really matter in terms of like the overall quality of the show. From what I have seen of the Flash outfit, it is fucking ridiculous. Like,
I've seen
I'm
the
not a
show.
fan.
I've seen the pilot. It's better in the pilot. Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd you see the pilot? You probably can't say, huh?
No, I can. I have friends that work in the TV industry, and they get the pilots early. So I've seen
it good?
Gotham. I've seen The Flash. I've seen Constantine. Um, Gotham's okay. The Flash I liked a lot, but I'm biased because The Flash is my favorite superhero. Constantine isn't bad. Agent Carter they haven't started shooting yet, as far as I know. So, and I haven't seen any of the Netflix stuff.
Is Agent Carter? Is he from Agents of Shield?
Agent Carter is the Haley Atwell from the first Captain America movie. They're giving her,
Isn't she the love interest?
Right.
Yeah, she's the love
I
interest.
remember. Right.
So they're giving her her own show.
Right.
So basically, they're splitting up Agents of Shield into two chunks, and Agent Carter is going to air between those two chunks. So, so what I'm saying though is my non-rhetorical question, my question to the group is superhero fatigue coming? Is there an inevitable backlash? Are people going to get burnt out on the powers and the costumes, or has Marvel at least proven that superheroes are a legit genre, even with its own subgenres, here to stay?
I think you're going to get divisions. I think you're going to have people who are like, I'm so sick of DC's movies. And you're going to have other people who are like, DC's the only real movies. Marvel's all just Flash and people punching each other in the dick.
I think the nerds will get like granular like that, but I think the regular movie-going public, like I ask my friend, like my friends know, but I ask like my mom or my sisters or whatever, they don't know that like Superman is DC and Captain America is Marvel. I think they will learn in the coming years, but for now,
I think it's going to come down to if the writing is good. If the writing is good, I think if they can maintain the quality over time, then they'll stick around. If they can't, then they won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that they are. I think they're definitely rich enough, and hopefully they remain smart enough to do that. It's like, I mean, I'm not saying that the Bond franchise hasn't had some rocky times, but they always come back to, it's like, no, we are the Bond franchise. Yeah. We will get the best goddamn people that we can because we can. And it's the same deal with Pixar. Like, if Marvel maintains their thing like Pixar's maintaining their thing, where it's like, no, we're not going to rush this. We're going to do this movie when we're doing the movie, when it's ready and when it's good, because that's what's important to us.
Yeah, but they planned out all these release dates. That worries me a little bit, where it's like untitled Marvel film, summer 2017.
Did we get an Ant-Man release date for like next year?
Yeah, and they just started shooting that.
But didn't they push the release date?
I don't think so.
Really?
I thought they had a release date before and they had to push it.
I thought they pushed Ant-Man before.
I thought they did too.
I'm going to look it up while you continue your segment.
July 17th, 2015, Ant-Man.
Yeah, but I think it was supposed to come out sooner, like a while ago, like a few years ago. They had an earlier release date planned.
I'm looking it up. Continue. Maybe Chad, you should start yours.
Well, but I have one last thing to say on this.
Okay.
I have faith in Feige's ability to keep the quality together. I do not have any faith in anybody under DC's. Especially now that the Nolan brothers are gone. You know what I mean? It's like who they have. I don't see anybody with any kind of that I have. I know you have some faith in Mr. Affleck's writer.
I'd say it's more hope than faith.
Okay. Well,
because Warner Brothers can still completely screw it up, and it's one of those things like prepare for the worst, hope for the best. I am fully prepared for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice to completely suck, and if it doesn't, I will be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, with Feige at the helm of that particular cinematic universe, it just seems infallible to me. I mean, until he's like somebody. I don't know. Until he loses his touch, I think it's going to be. I mean, he just hasn't lost. You know what I mean? He's good. Whether obviously there are a lot of hipsters and whatnot that think they all suck, but I've enjoyed them all, and I think that his He's been able to ride that balance better than anybody else in the field. So
And that's what Warner Brothers is missing, is their own internal Kevin Feige.
Right.
Anyway, Ant-Man actually got moved up. Originally, it was supposed to be November 2015, and it got moved up to July 2015.
Really?
And it got moved to July 30th, and then it got moved again to July 16th or whatever it is now.
Yeah.
Like, they've only moved it earlier. So now I'm actually kind of hoping, I now with that data in mind, I think that Ant-Man might end up being our barometer. Are they more interested in hitting dates, or are they more interested in making good movies? But I think my personal opinion is that release dates are flexible until you see it in a trailer. Because once they put it on a film trailer, they can't change that shit.
Sure.
So we'll see.
All right.
But Chad, do you want to hit your thingy?
So we apparently appear to be in a new time of kind of global censorship, from the way that reporters have been treated, and the airspace has been shut down in Ferguson the past few weeks, to the way that the Chinese government shut down the Beijing Independent Film Festival on opening day, like yesterday, to the Indian government now banning a film about the assassination of Indira Gandhi, both happening, like I said, both the Chinese and the Indian thing happening just this past week. We seem to be in kind of a state of devolution as a global society, or de-evolution, I don't know if either is actually a word, when it comes to sort of freedom of the press. Now, obviously, China's one-party government is not necessarily known for any kind of freedom of the press. They tend to censor their artists, but in recent years, they have kind of let up on that a little bit as their economy has improved. India, even though I don't know much about the individual sort of government, etc., they kind of obviously with this. I mean, if you know about the specifics about this particular film that they're banning, at least they're banning it for reasons that, you know, there was apparently it's a very, very, very touchy subject, and there has been killings. There have been killings based on similar sort of topics, and they think that the movie sort of takes an opinion over Indira Gandhi's assassination that they think will just cause a lot of, basically, again, killings. Like, people will just start to kill each other on the streets, Sikhs versus whatever. And so that's, you know, at least they have some sort of historical purpose that they're stating. But, you know, here in the United States, you know, where, you know, in Missouri, it's a little bit bizarre.
Nothing more American historical than blatant racism. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, it's yeah, no, that's funny. But I mean, but what the topic that I'm talking about is the way that they're shutting down. I mean, they've shut down the airspace, and they're saying, and it's a very kind of specious argument that they're afraid that that there are going to be gunshots, that you know, pot shots taken. But it's been from day one, and they haven't let it up. You know what I mean? And it's a little weird that they're doing that, and it's a little, honestly, it's a little freaky. It's a little scary that, you know, a lot of the sort of the pundits on the right are saying that, you know, the media is making things worse. But, you know, of course the media, if you try to shut them out, they're going to be like, well, what can't we see? Of course, it's human nature for them to want to do that. So, you know, yes, I know it's calming down a bit since Eric Holder came to Ferguson in the middle of last week, but the fact that any of this happened in the first place is really kind of alarming to me, you know, in this country where freedom of the press is one of our most precious values. So, you know, anyway, that's something to...
I'm somewhat hopeful about it just because of the reaction when that happened. I mean, it seemed like everybody was jumping all over that. It's like, no. We don't care what's going on. Yeah. You're not allowed to do that to reporters. Like, I don't know a single person that was like, well, you know, good on them. As opposed to, like, you know, sometimes, like, and I mean, the internet memes started up where it's like, you know, the whole thing that happened with that dude's cattle ranching thing was compared to Ferguson, and it's like a bunch of white guys blatantly violate the law, and the cops show up, and the white guys point guns at them, and the cops back away, and then a bunch of black people, you know, protest per their First Amendment right, and the cops move in, and like that whole meme started and everything, and I think that I think that as communication lines get more and more open, you're going to have some kerfuffle with governments who don't want that, but you can't stop it. I don't think it can be stopped. So I think that intelligent people in power will adapt and learn, and that corrupt and terrible people in power won't and will be removed, replaced, whatever.
Well, we'll see. I mean, that's not exactly happening. I mean, we'll see what comes out of Eric Holder's visit. We'll see if there's. I mean, the civil rights. I wish what you were saying was true. Unfortunately, the sort of contemporary things that are happening in governments, particularly state governments all across the country right now, are really, really alarming. And the trend is not in red states, is not going in the direction of freedom of the press. It's not going in the direction of civil rights. It's going we're going back. Anyway, I don't want to get into a political discussion, but because the reason, the main topic here is freedom of the press, and if our government is really willing, our governments, our various different, sort of state governments as well, do really believe in freedom of the press. That's really the topic here, and I think that we got to keep our eyes on that. We got to keep our eye on the ball, and definitely, because I hope you're right, but it sounds honestly a teeny tiny bit like Pollyanna to me, and unfortunately this particular Supreme Court is backing up all of the, it's a little crazy, it's a little bit insane, and I think we need to pay attention and spread the word and make sure, because right now.
No, that's what I'm saying is that you whether they do or not, the government can't stop it. That's my point, is that they cannot stop it. There were people live tweeting the Ferguson thing like there was the dude who was like in his apartment, like, I just saw this happen, and he tweeted the picture. It's like you can't stop it anymore.
Right.
My hope is that there might be some serious shit coming down the line, and there might be some but I am optimistic that it can't be halted in the long run.
Yeah,
is my
I hope you're right
thingy. So anyway. But yes, you're right. The correct steps are keep an eye on it and stamp the shit out of it whenever it happens.
And keep, opening your mouth.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
However, we will move towards closing our mouths. We will edge toward the... Did you like that segue? That was an excellent transition. I'm so ashamed. Let's end off with things to know. My thing to know today, a bit of a sad note, not as sad as last week. Rest in peace, Richard Attenborough, who passed away this week. Attenborough directed Gandhi, an amazing film that won the 1982 Best Picture. I don't know if you've seen it, if anybody's ever seen it. If you haven't, you should. It's a classic. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic classic. But most people listening to this will probably know him as Professor John Hammond, the creator of Jurassic Park in the films. Attenborough played Dr. Hammond in both the original film and the first sequel. Thank you very much for your time, Attenborough. He was 90 when he passed away this week. As Kevin Smith would say, a bucket of wind for a life very, very well lived. Ryan?
Indeed. My thing to know, I have another website recommendation, flickchart.com. If you check out this website, please give up the next couple hours at least of your life.
Yeah, so, this is why we were late, everybody.
Late.
Yeah. Flickchart, it's a website I discovered a few years ago. Basically what it does, it's just a film rating website, and all it does is it pairs up two films. It'll show their movie posters, and all you have to do is pick the one you prefer. There's no stars or thumbs or 1 through 10. It's just two movies, and pick the one you like better. In a pretty short amount of time, it'll start building out your favorites list. And I have to say, looking at mine right now, it's pretty accurate. Not only is it a fun time killer, but after you've built out your list, the analytics of your own movie viewing habits is pretty fascinating too. So when you have some time to spare, definitely check it out. That's Flickchart, Flickchart, flickchart.com.
I would like to add two quick things to that, which are that, one, it has not put together a very good favorites list for me quickly. I've been doing it for about 45 minutes, and my favorites list, I specifically hunted down Lord of the Rings so that I could put them at the top. But after Lord of the Rings, it's Return of the Jedi, none of the other Star Wars movies, Avatar, the James Cameron Avatar, Cars, which is a good movie. It's not even close to my number 6. And then 10 Things I Hate About You, which again, don't hate it. Doesn't deserve that spot. Like 10 Things I Hate About You is 5 spots above Jurassic Park. So you're going to have to devote some time to it, but at the same time, you won't be able to stop. It's so good. And the other thing that I want to say is that this would be a fantastic website to open up at a party with other people who like films, because you would just have conversations. You might make some enemies. You might end up punching each other, but you would have conversations for hours going through this website. It's amazing.
That's actually a great idea to like try to create a sort of a board game based around this.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't be able to get the rights to any of these, so you'd probably just have to give it away for free. But it could be, it could be kind of a cool, Anyway.
Yeah. Love it.
So my thing to know is, and we, Garrett will just have to keep his mouth shut on this. Oh my God. I started reading A Song of Ice and Fire for the 4th time, the whole series. Hopefully, in anticipation of the next book, which I'm. You never really know when it's going to come out till it's out, but I'm kind of hoping that by the time I finish it this time, it'll be coming around again. And it's just it just again blows me away how amazing the books are. I haven't watched the TV show as much, but obviously it's based on the same material, so I know it's there's some good in it, I'm sure. But the books, it's just, even now I'm rereading it again for the 4th time, and I keep hoping things are gonna happen differently, like the different tragedies as there is. I'm like, don't do that, don't do, It's just such good writing, and the characters are so deep and incredible. If you've never read it, read it. If you've seen the show and you like the show, believe me, you're going to love the books. So
the books are incredible. Definitely read them. Also, check out the show. It is also very, very good.
You had to get the last word, didn't you?
I just had to say also.
Had to.
I just had to clarify that because I get enough hate from people off of these conversations.
The books are amazing.
So amazing, incredible. Probably my second favorite fantasy. I mean, actually, no, it's up there with my second favorite fantasy series of all time. My favorite is Lord of the Rings. Game of Thrones it's between Game of Thrones and another series called Riddle Master that nobody's ever heard of.
How did you hijack my thing to know? How did you do that?
No, I started talking about Lord of the Rings.
I haven't read the books or seen the
my
show.
Wheelhouse. This is where I live. Actually, no, that's not true. My second favorite fantasy series has got to be Nightblade by that new indie author. Oh, what's his name?
I suggest, Ryan, that you actually watch the show first because...
I tried. I couldn't get into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I've tried to watch the first episode at least 4 times.
Well, then try the books. The books are amazing.
The books are amazing.
I'll probably go ahead and learn how to read first, and then I will try the book.
All right, that is a perfect note upon which to end this week's We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast.
Music.
Thank you, anybody. What?
Music.
Yeah, music, right? Thank you, viewers. Thank you to our audio listeners. I'm Garrett. You can find me at garrettbrobinson.com. Ryan can be found at RDT156 on Twitter, and Chad is at superfreako.com. Ooh! Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye.